The little prince walked across the vast expanse of his planet, watching the sunset. Time on his tiny asteroid B612 flowed differently, and he could watch the sunset as many times as he wanted. But lately, he had noticed that time had become strange. It moved too fast, too slow, or sometimes stopped altogether. "Something has happened," the little prince pondered, stroking his rose. She looked at him with a hint of sadness. "You have changed," she said. "No, it is time that has changed," he replied, and decided to go in search of answers. Traveling through the universe, the little prince soon met an old clockmaker who lived on a planet where thousands of gears, pendulums, and dials floated in the air. The old man sat at a long table, carefully studying a massive hourglass that barely ticked. "Hello," said the little prince. "I am looking for an answer. Why does time no longer behave as it used to?" The clockmaker looked up and sighed. "You are not the first to notice this. Time is a fragile thing. It depends on how people perceive it, and lately, everyone is either rushing somewhere or doing nothing at all. Time has lost its balance." The little prince thought for a moment. "But I live alone, and there is no one on my planet except me and my rose. Why has it changed for me?" The clockmaker smiled. "You are growing up, little prince. When you were younger, time seemed endless. Now you are thinking about its flow, and it has become unpredictable. Time is not controlled by mechanisms, but by our perception." The prince looked at the hourglass, where the sand was slowly trickling down. "But what should I do? How can I restore time?" "You must find your own rhythm, little prince. People rush forward, not noticing the present. Some are stuck in the past, unwilling to move on. But there are those who live in the moment, and for them, time is perfect." The little prince left the clockmaker, pondering his words. He visited several planets and saw how people struggled with time. A businessman counted seconds, trying to accumulate them as wealth. A writer complained that he had no time for inspiration. An old man on a lonely planet said his time had already passed and expected nothing more. Everywhere, the little prince saw time either fleeing or standing still. Finally, he returned to his small planet. The rose was still waiting for him, her bud slightly tilted. "You were gone for a long time," she said softly. "I was searching for time," he replied. The rose smiled. "Silly, time is here. It is in your hands, in the rays of the sun, in the whisper of the wind. It has not disappeared. You just stopped feeling it." The little prince sat down beside her and closed his eyes. He listened to the wind blowing, the gentle whisper of the rose, and the shining sun. He remembered the clockmaker's words and understood. Time was not something external, but how he perceived it. From that moment on, time on his planet became harmonious again. It flowed as it should, not rushing but not standing still. The little prince no longer tried to catch it. He simply lived in every moment that the universe gave him.